Welcome to the Call Your Shot podcast, your weekly sports recap podcast where we break down the hottest headlines, dissect the latest injuries, and serve up our own hard-hitting analysis of the past week in sports. But that's not all. We're not just here to talk about the past, we're here to predict the future as well. On the Call Your Shot podcast, we boldly predict the outcomes of the upcoming week's games.
Thank you for listening. This is the Call Your Shot podcast with your hosts, Alex Harris and Drew Moore. Before we get started, we wanted to apologize. It's been, I think, Drew, about 3 weeks since our last episode.
It's really Alex's fault. He decided he wanted to go out and get married. Yeah, you're proposing to people.
I didn't get married, but I did propose. Lots been going on. Drew and I both been working, been finishing my school. So I finished my master's program, ended up getting engaged, proposed. Drew, I know you've been super busy too. So again, we do apologize, but we do appreciate your guys' patience and you guys watching us here today. So today's episode, we're going to get into the NFL. Obviously, we can't cover everything that's happened in the past 3 weeks, but we are going to talk about some of the major recent news, as well as give our top 5 power rankings for teams that we do have, which we also feel is going to cover a good amount of the majority of things that has happened over the past couple weeks. After that, we're going to get into the NBA, some of the top teams as of late, some of the young teams that have been cooking, like the Timberwolves and Thunder, as well as the play-in tournament, as you know who won that, Drew. Amen. And lastly, Mr. Draymond Green and the Warriors. So, yeah. It'll be a fun episode. So major news, we want to get started. We did have confirmation that Chargers head coach Brandon Staley and the GM Tom Telesco ended up getting fired. They got destroyed by the Raiders. I think they ended up losing by 40 or something like that. And basically the writing was on the wall. It's been a long time coming. A lot of people have been wanting Staley to get out of there for a long time, especially after the 24-27 blow loss that they had against the Jaguars in the playoffs, and they gave up that 24-point lead. So what are your thoughts on that, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this from like the beginning of the season, saying that like the man's got to go. But it was one of those things too where like the owners, it's not really in their it's not really their MO to do that mid-season. So that was one of the reasons why they hadn't done it. But at the same time, the writing, like we said, the writing was on the wall. And over the past 3 years or so, since hiring Brandon Staley, the Chargers ranked 27th. Only one spot ahead of them are the Seahawks. Just wanted to point that out. But
unnecessary point.
The Chargers ranked 27th in EPA per play, which is basically just the expected points on every play that has happened. And he's supposed to be a defensive guy, right? I thought he's coming in, supposed to revamp the defense. It's not like he didn't have a wealth of help over there too. He had a bunch of great players on the defensive end to help him out. Obviously, you look a lot better when you're with the Rams and you win a Super Bowl and you have, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey and company. Like it kind of helps. Yeah, Von Miller. like it makes your job a lot easier, and it's really easy to look good when you have those players. But at the same time, it's one of those things too where he was basically wasting Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert's career by having this kind of a defense. And it's kind of going to be interesting to see, was it actually the coach, or was it maybe Justin Herbert just actually isn't as up in that tier like we've always put him into. Like he makes amazing throws, don't get me wrong, and everything like that. He's a gunslinger, but maybe he's more on the Brett Favre side of things as opposed to like the, Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes, those kind of players and stuff like that. Well, maybe not Patrick Mahomes this year, but in recent years.
I think he's like a less big, slightly, less mobile Josh Allen, which obviously we've talked a lot about Josh Allen over the past season and things of that nature. But, the Chargers have been through a lot when it comes to Staley, and it's not necessary. I don't know. I don't want to say it's all his fault. They've had a lot of unfortunate situations. Herbert's got hurt for the past 2 seasons now. Keenan Allen's been injury prone. Mike Williams has been injury prone, has missed a lot of this season as well. But I mean, as you mentioned, I think he did kind of waste. I don't want to say he wasted Justin Herbert's, career or anything like that, because obviously Justin Herbert's still very young. But like the pieces in the core that they had around him with Keenan Allen, who's had a good season so far, but is now going to be like 32, 33. Mike Williams is already injury prone, and now Austin Eckler seems like he's lost a step too. So like, where do they go from there? Because like now I do feel that it's kind of crazy to say like their Super Bowl window closed, but like every season over the past 2 or 3 years, like they open up, you're like, oh, we've talked about it. Like this is the team that may dethrone the Chiefs and things like that, just because they have all of the weapons for such a high powered offense. And then they draft Quentin Williams, who's basically supposed to, or not Quentin Williams. What was the wide receiver that they drafted?
Johnson.
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah.
Who's basically like, Mike Williams 2.0, and they're just like, we're just not even going to throw to you. Like, I don't even understand. Even when Mike Williams got hurt, he still didn't get many targets and things of that nature. And then you have all of these good rookies with Puka Nacua, with Zay Flowers, with Rashee Rice and things of that nature. And he doesn't really get much looks at all. So the Chargers kind of are in disarray, and you kind of get stomped by the Raiders, who have had trouble scoring all season, and you lose to them by 40. I mean, there's not really much you can say about that.
And I think it was Al Michaels too. He was talking about like in Pee Wee football or Pop Warner football or whatever. If they're up by this much, they usually just call mercy rule and they just end the game up 42-0 at halftime and stuff. But yeah, I mean, again, 42-0 at halftime to a team that only scored 3 points. Oh, actually, my bad, didn't score any points last week.
Exactly.
So like, and on top of that too, what's the guy? Telesco. I forgot his name. Telesco. I don't know. Anyways, he's gone. Trash. Anyways,
yeah, the
because
GM, Tom Telesco.
Yeah, Tom Telesco. That's what it is. The players that he's drafted, I believe they have one of the lowest percentages of returning players after drafting them, and as well as players that have stayed in the league too, after drafting them as well. So, and in terms of like second day draft players and stuff, obviously like first day draft players, like they're going to be more likely to stay in the NFL than second day, but don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, he's also not the best GM, and now they're pretty much stuck because they have a terrible financial situation because they've overpaid for all of these elite players that they haven't been able to do anything with,
Right.
and basically they have no choice but to hope that somebody maybe wants Justin Herbert, or they can bring in a Bill Belichick to coach, and maybe he can turn around the outlook of what they have left in the team. Like, but you just kind of saw the team give up. Like once the Raiders got up by like 14-0, they were like, you know what? F this, I'm done. And players just quit on the field.
Yeah.
So I don't blame them either.
honestly, it really looked very bad. It looked terrible. And obviously Justin Herbert was hurt, so obviously like he didn't play, but like even this whole season, the offenses kind of looked up and down. Early in the season, they were able to score and get points up, but their defense wasn't able to stop any teams. We have like a shootout just to start the season in week 1 against the Dolphins, 35-38, and you're just not able to get a stop. And sometimes the offense actually has looked very stagnant. It hasn't looked that great too. As we mentioned, like Austin Eckler was battling through the high ankle sprain, so he missed a lot of time. When he came back, he still doesn't look like his full self. We talked about that. We didn't think that was necessarily like the injury lingering, because we talked about like he's very good at understanding his body, not coming back until he's fully healthy. So it honestly looked like he looked older, and they even talked about wanting to see what they had at the other options at running back, because he was in a contract dispute this offseason. He wanted a bag, he wanted to a multi-year deal, and they basically wanted to franchise tag him, and they ultimately ended up settling on a 1-year deal, which was a little higher than the franchise tag. I don't see them re-signing him this offseason. So where do they go from there? And, Kellen Moore, who was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, comes over, and people are like, oh, wow, they're going to really open up this offense. Justin Herbert has, just as much, obviously, if not more arm talent than Dak Prescott with all the weapons. Like, it's going to basically completely open up this offense. And right now, I think they're 18th in offense. So, and that's just been this whole season, not just last week. So it's going to be very interesting where the direction that they decide to go, if they're going to, still try to stick with it and, play around Justin Herbert, or as you mentioned, maybe try to get a trade. That kind of goes into something else that I wanted to get into that you had mentioned that I forgot about, Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Obviously, the Patriots have not been good this season. Obviously, weren't good last year. The first season with Mac Jones, first season without Tom Brady, ended up having a pretty formidable season. They squeaked into the playoffs, but since then, it's all been downhill, and this year has been terrible. And basically, they've said that it's already writings on the wall that Bill Belichick will be basically fired at the end of the season, which was very interesting because the Patriots are, Bill Belichick's had such a long standing with the Patriots, and they're usually pretty quiet or secure with that information and things of that nature. So like the fact that they already went public and said that, I don't know how true it is, but apparently it's been like confirmed by a very credible source. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you really think it's time to move on from Bill Belichick, or do you, I don't really know what you want him to do, but because he's also partly been the GM and things that, or and building the roster. So I
Yep.
mean, I guess that is partly on him too. But do you really think that he should be fired? And where do you think he should go after that?
I mean, yeah, because you're really seeing the Tom Brady effect, and like, who was it? Was it really him? Or was it Tom Brady? Just
Yeah,
like, was it Michael Jordan, or was it I almost said Phil Knight? um, I kind of think of.
it was Michael Jordan.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Phil Jackson's a great coach, all
Phil
time
Jackson.
coach.
There
It
we
was
go. Phil
Michael
Jackson. There
Jordan.
we go. Yeah. Okay. I don't know about all that, but well, I I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted. But okay, I won't be really ridiculous. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I do think that Bill Belichick, like, it's time for Sleepy Bill to go night night. And whether or not whether or not he retires or he goes and coaches somewhere and tries to, get the record for most wins. If he does that, he better go to a competitive team because he's sure as hell ain't gonna do it in any of these other teams out here.
It's a 3
Um,
11 after today's
yeah,
loss to the Chiefs.
exactly. And it was kind of interesting too because there was talks about like when they had that loss in London or Germany. They were like, are they just gonna leave him at the tarmac, just like, find your own plane home kind of thing? Uh, but they stuck with him, and I think that's the right thing to do, not do him dirty or anything like that, because ultimately they wouldn't be in the situation where they were without him. Like, as much as it was, Tom Brady and stuff too, it also was his elite coaching on offense and also on defense too. Um, and I believe that if he does go to another team, he'll probably just only have the head coaching job, or maybe just a
Yeah,
role as a defensive coordinator if he wants to only do that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, because
I don't think
I
he
don't
wants to
know,
be
like,
DC. I think it's head coach or nothing.
yeah, it his track record as well as a GM isn't the best. I mean, you can kind of see the players that they drafted while Tom Brady was there and stuff, and all the help that he was able
D3
to
wide
get.
receiver, Wichita State.
Exactly.
Give him to me.
Exactly. So it was basically like build a bear out there with the players
840.
that they were.
Give him to me.
Exactly. So I mean, other than obviously Randy Moss, who they didn't draft, they
The
acquired
only
him,
player that they went
and
all in on in free agency.
yeah. Other than that, doesn't really have a great track record of building a team. But he sure as hell can coach. That's for damn sure. So I think that he'll fit right in nicely with the Chargers. It's nice, warm, great place to retire. So
Great place to retire. Yeah, I don't know. I I mean, like, I don't know, man. Like, I
actually, you know what? You know what?
understand
Send him to
where
the Saints. Send him to the
send to
Saints,
the
please,
Saints.
please.
I mean, that might be actually. I think I could understand that like a little bit more. I couldn't honestly see him go into the Charger. I don't know. It just feels that just seems weird. But I mean, both teams are in the NFC, so I definitely agree with you. I understand needing to move on from Bill Belichick because obviously the owner Robert Kraft had to make a decision when it came to the Tom Brady situation. There's been reports have come out and Tom Brady interviews and things like that. It kind of seemed like it was when in 2020 in the offseason, it was like it's Bill or me, and ultimately they kind of went with Bill Belichick. And as you mentioned, we're kind of seeing the reality of, Tom Brady was probably the majority of that Super Bowl run dynasty era. Obviously, the Patriots had great defenses during that time, so I'm not trying to like discredit Bill Belichick or anything like that, or say that he's not a great coach. He is an all-time great coach. But the reality is that he has not been able to put together any wins, put together a good team at all. Like it seems like in the offseason, like what you're going after Juju and and Hunter Henry and
Yep.
like that's what you're going to build your team around. I don't understand it. And obviously Mac Jones had a good rookie season. I think he made a Pro Bowl, which is kind of weird. I don't understand how the Pro
It
Bowl and all
was
this kind of
it
stuff
was
works.
it was crazy too because I had a bet on Mac Jones to win Rookie of the Year, and he was like minus 500 at one point in time to win the award, and then all of a sudden he just fell off a cliff and just gave it away, and I was like, I hate you now. And so ever since then, I've never liked the guy. He also is just like not the best person in the world either. He's really easy not to like. And this isn't going to be like I hate Meg Jones rant, but it,
Get my
it sure
soapbox real
it
quick.
sure is. Yeah, let me step off this real quick before I go too far.
I definitely think that they are going to look for a quarterback in this draft. I don't know what the situation completely was with Caleb Williams, because he's been non-committal about whether he's going to go into the draft or go into back to USC. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I'm not exactly sure what other options you would have at quarterback, but Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi are not the options. It was weird too, because I was watching some shows and they were saying that it was just an unfortunate situation for Mac Jones. A lot of people, or some people, I guess, still say that Mac Jones is actually, has a good amount of talent. And if he actually would have been drafted by the 49ers, who they went all in on Trey Lance just because of the mobility and the upside of him, as opposed to Mac Jones, who was originally their first option, basically he'd be doing what Brock Purdy's doing. And I do not agree with that at all. Mac Jones has not been a game manager. He's not been able to limit his turnovers. He's not mobile. He does not make good decisions. He does not make quick decisions. So, I mean, I don't understand that take at all, but I've heard that a lot.
So out of the 41 qualified quarterbacks that have played this season, that have played 20% of uh, 598 snaps, Mac Jones, take a guess on where he ranks out of 41 qualified quarterbacks.
I'm gonna be nice and I'm gonna give him 39.
It's not bad. He's actually 36.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he's
But
above
what he's been thrown
Tyson.
to, like,
Okay, but still, like,
he honestly probably has one of, if not the worst wide receiver room in the league.
okay, I hear you and everything, but the way that PFF grades go, it doesn't grade you based on the like the players that you're throwing to and stuff like that. It grades you based on the types of throws that you're making, how difficult those throws are, and the accuracy and placement of those throws too.
Fair enough.
My guy is only above Tyson Bagent,
Mm.
Dorian Thompson Robinson,
Hey,
Bryce
DTR.
Young,
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Trubisky, and PJ Walker. So last time I checked, none of those are starting quarterbacks. Actually, those are third string quarterbacks. And for Bryce Young to be down there too at 39, that just tells you
It was
everything.
weird. They've all started this. I believe all of those quarterbacks have started a game this season, and I think they all have still around the same amount of wins as the same amount of wins, which is
Mhm.
very unfortunate. So that is the situation with the Patriots. We'll have to see when it comes to that. Lastly, the only thing, unless you had anything else I wanted to do, was kind of just get it over with and preview this little game that we got tomorrow for Monday Night Football. Not
Well,
happy about it.
actually, one thing,
Mm-hmm.
you
Okay.
got your boy A Rod coming in
Oh,
hot.
right. Aaron Rodgers has
Si-
been cleared to practice at this point in time and is now has a
I
decent
thought
chance.
I thought it was saying that he's cleared to play next
Oh no,
week.
you're right. They're saying that. Yeah, I think they said that he's potentially clear to play this next week, and it's a possibility. I think a couple weeks ago they were talking about there's a good chance that Aaron Rodgers would be healthy enough to play, but the Jets are terrible, so we're just not going to take that risk. I don't know exactly what happened. They were just even more terrible than that, and they're like, you know what, I don't want to see this no more. I don't know. Rob Saleh's like, you know what, we need to give something for the fans, and now it seems like it's actually a good possibility that Aaron Rodgers is going to take the field for the Jets this season, which not only is miraculous from, you know, a health standpoint and a recovery standpoint, I do not understand it because, like, I don't know. If you want him to be your future, you got him for a 2-year contract. Why on earth would you do this? We've talked about it a lot. But again,
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Like, the tissue is not healed, the injury is not healed. There's no point of coming back and playing with this injury, especially with the implications that it could have with him being 40 years old, and
Don't matter.
also, okay,
He's healed.
and okay, the ashwagandha and
Jets
all the
Aaron
other
Rodgers
stuff that he's
intercepts
talking,
pass while filling in a scout linebacker in practice.
bro. Like I told you before we came on here, you know, you gotta take into consideration the quarterbacks that were throwing it the ball
Out
to
here
him
looking like Luke
when he
Kuechly,
intercepted
man.
that. Okay. Anyways, not only that, the Jets offensive line is currently ranked third to last in the
Yeah.
NFL when it comes to pass blocking. So he's going to be running for his life out there. Not real good option to be running out all over the place, or I guess I should say running for your life after having an Achilles rupture. So all I'm going to say is good luck, sir. Hope you do well. You've had a great career. It might be over at this point, but you know, I hope to see you out there slinging that ball around, uplifting the fans of New York. Jets, 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 Jets.
And we are filming this episode on Sunday night, so all the Sunday games have already happened. The Jets lost to the Dolphins 30-0. And the Dolphins were playing without Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Oh, they've also been eliminated from the playoffs too. So,
And they also
not
have
sure
been
why.
eliminated from the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what I didn't even look at I just saw the scoreboard. I didn't even want to look at the stats, but like I'm curious on like so Zach Wilson 4 of 11 for 26 yards, Trevor Siemian 14 of 26 for 100 yards, and they had 23 yards of rushing. So, if any of you guys are, you know, good at math, in total that is 150 yards of offense. So I
Did you
don't
see
blame them.
the Did you see the thing where when they had Zach Wilson come back, they were like the plan was always for him to not start, and so he just needed to center himself, and now he's centered. And people
Mm-hmm.
were like, that sounds like he went on some kind of retreat with Aaron Rodgers, and like they like smoked some some new shit. And
And there were reports and stuff because he basically got benched, and not only did they bench
mhm,
him, they said you're not even the backup, you're the third stringer now. And
mhm.
then 2 games later, they're like, you know what? It's not better. Like it's just as bad. So we're gonna have you play again. And he wasn't too happy or accepting of that. So I don't know what the Jets are gonna do. Again, hopefully Aaron Rodgers comes back because I do think that the Jets have good weapons offensively, and their defense has
Mhm.
proven at times that they are elite. They're not some legendary defense like they were talking about in the preseason, which many people assumed already. But I think that they can be a contender. I think that they can be a playoff team with Aaron Rodgers, with Brees Hall, with Garrett Wilson. As long as they need to figure something out with that offensive line. But that's pretty much
Facts.
it. So have to wait and see. Okay. Anything else that you want to get into before we preview this great Monday night football game that we got going on here?
No, I think that's it. Oh,
So,
just one quick side note. Um, so when we were talking about the Bills and everything, oh, Bills suck, Bills this, Bills that, da 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 da. Drew, you're so dumb. We're talking about the Bills trash and everything. You pick and choose the spots, and you'll be successful. Okay.
first
I'm
of
not
all,
saying. I'm not. Hold on. I'm not saying that the Bills are like some. Well, statistically speaking, like I've been saying this the whole year, is that they're based on the math and the stats and the analytics are telling me that they are a good offense, and the offense was never broken. It was just poorly timed turnovers. And Josh Allen typically was the one that was having those. However,
no.
he was also the one that was uh, giving them the best possible chance to win and putting them in the situation to win. And their defense was also the one not giving them the best opportunity to win because of all the injuries that they've had. However, they've allowed Josh Allen to start running again, which he hadn't been doing the first however many weeks before they fired the OC. And ever since firing the OC, they've gone back to allowing Josh to run, and so that's allowed them to go back to the kind of offense that they've been running the past few years, and we're seeing that now. They're starting to win games more, and their defense is getting as healthy as it's going to be, which is good for them going into potentially the playoffs. So, yeah, I rest my case, Your Honor.
I don't think that there was ever a time where I said that the Bills suck. I said that they are volatile, meaning that they can beat an elite team like the Chiefs or the Cowboys one week and lose to bad teams like the Patriots or the Bengals. Well, not the Bengals, I guess, aren't bad, but lose to bad teams the next. And they went on a very negative tear midway through the season, and that was before we went on our little 3-week hiatus, and I didn't hear you saying anything. You're like, yeah, I'm done with the Bills, man. And I quote, I'm pretty sure you said, I'm done with the Bills because their chance to make the playoffs was minuscule because Josh Allen was inconsistent. And you keep talking about, we understand the defense had injuries and they were hurt. They were still holding teams to under 23 points. So, like, it was just the fact that the Bills couldn't score, or at least not that much because Josh Allen kept turning the ball over. And they've started to figure it out more. I think one of the big notes as well was obviously, we don't want nobody to get hurt, but Dawson Knox got injured, and basically Dalton Kincaid was able to fill in as the number one go-to tight end. So you had additional options other than Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis. You had a very versatile tight end who they've been using. He didn't have get any receptions actually in this game, which was very surprising. But overall, these have been used a lot. Recently, and the Bills have got their stuff together. They've had now wins against the Eagles. They had a very close shootout. They had the Eagles 34-37 in overtime. They ended up losing that game, but very close. They played them very tough, and then they beat the Chiefs, and which was, I don't know about that. Some of them calls. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. The Chiefs have been getting the short end of the stick on this whistle. I'm just saying, and they just dominated the Cowboys, who, if I'm not mistaken, is one of your teams. But like I said, they are very, very, very volatile. But again, they have the capability and the ability to be a very good team, and their playoff window has been open for the past 5 years. Obviously, Stephon Diggs got frustrated as he does every single year. But again, they're starting to figure things out, and now they're 8-5, but they're 8-5 and they're still out of the playoffs because teams like the Colts and Gardner Minshew have just as good of a record as them, and they have ultimately a tiebreaker. So, that's what happens. So now it's going to be, I don't know if they'll be able to squeak in the playoffs or not. They should, because they played the Chargers and the Patriots in their next 2 games, and then they have a tough one against the Dolphins, which I think is going to be the deciding factor on whether they make the playoffs or not. They're going to have to basically hope for a Colts or Browns to continue to lose, which I don't think is that big of an ask. But I think the Bills are a very dangerous team, and they seem to be clicking at the right time. So, and now that you've jumped back on your bandwagon, what more do you have to say?
No, I mean, I'm just saying that
I'm done with the Bills, and I quote.
I might have said that. Okay, I might have said that, but that was because
that was before they started playing well.
that was before they started changing their offensive scheme and allowing Josh Allen to run again. Yep. And also, like, you can just tell that they're a different offense out there. They're not fighting with each other anymore. Obviously, winning heals all wounds, but at the same time, Josh Allen is not losing them the games anymore. He's taking care of the ball better than what he was, which is pretty low bar in general. But Josh Allen currently ranks second in terms of big time throws, which are throws that have either resulted in a touchdown or throws that have been into small windows and completing those passes. And he's also tied for third in terms of passing TDs. We don't got to talk about the interceptions or anything like that, but he's definitely played better over the past few weeks. And if they're going to do anything in the playoffs, or well, let me back up. If they're even going to make the playoffs, I believe the only way that they can do that realistically is they have to win out.
Yep.
And
Yep.
uh, yeah, so
I mean, yeah, like I said, they got
against
the Patriots, and I can't remember the other team, but it's a bad. Or the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Chargers going to play without Justin Herbert or a coach, and then they have the Dolphins, and basically it's going to be all or nothing. And by that point, the Dolphins may not even need to play their starters, so they might, ultimately be able to squeak in. And if they make the playoffs, I think they're probably going to be one of the best wild card teams that we've seen in a while, because like we said, they should have been an elite team. They're just very volatile, and when you're volatile in a season, it could go up and positive, or it can go down and negative, and they're kind of right in the middle right now. But again, you're clicking at the right time. You want to be clicking towards the end of the season. They're getting their stuff together, and this is the most balanced team that Josh Allen has had, because they are using James Cook. Josh Allen didn't even really need to play that big of a role in this game, obviously, but James Cook rushed for almost 200 yards. Like, they completely destroyed and took complete advantage of the Cowboys, and they are the more physical team. So if they're able to do that, James Cook is running the ball. That opens up the field for Josh Allen even more. He's a dual threat for quarterback, or for running the ball. You got Gabe Davis running down the field. You got Stephon Diggs on his intermediate routes. Like, they are a good team. And if the defense continues to play well, if Josh Allen continues to take care of the ball, and James Cook is able to keep running the ball well, they can shock some people. And I think that they could be a very scary team. So
Bills Mafia, let's go, let's do it. I think it's time to put in my Super Bowl pick. Buffalo Bills winning it this year, taking down the San Francisco 49ers. You heard it here first. It's going to be a 37 to 30 victory for my boy Josh Allen.
I think that it's ironic, and it makes a lot of sense that you are up on the Bills, because I think that if I had to describe you with a football team, I would say you're the Bills, because I think that you have the potential to be great. You have a lot of good instances where you're elite, but then you just forget what's going on every once in a while, up and down, and
fair enough.
So there you go. Oh. Eagles Seahawks, Drew. So this is clearly going to be a multiple score win for the Seahawks. We are playing at home, and it's tough, because we've had a very tough schedule midway through the season, which is why we talked about many of the games that the Seahawks ended up losing that were very close games, so that we probably should have won. Like, I think we should have won the game against the Rams, the first game. I think we should have won the game against the Bengals. Like, that was because in the middle of the season, or towards the later part of the season, when we have a gauntlet of teams that we have to play. We have to play against the Eagles, had to play against the Cowboys, had to play against the 49ers twice. Those are tough games against some of the best teams in the league. And as of right now, we're 0-4 against those teams. And now we play the Eagles. So, the only silver lining, again, we don't want nobody to get hurt. And I actually like Jalen Hurts, because I have, the Eagles are my pick. He is questionable. He was downgraded to questionable because he had a sickness. And then I guess he woke up today and he felt even worse. So they downgraded him to questionable. I do think he's going to play. Geno Smith, in his groin injury, didn't play last week. Drew Lock played, and he actually played pretty. I mean, he played the 49ers pretty tough. I'm not going to lie. But he's also questionable to play as well. What are your thoughts on that game, Drew? Obviously, the Eagles are coming off of 2 straight losses to the 49ers and the Cowboys, so they need to get back right on the right track. And basically, this is the Seahawks do or die game, because if they lose this, then basically we lose all hope of making the playoffs, because we already lost the tiebreaker to the Rams, and if at best we would probably tie them in a record, so we would be out. So we need this game.
Yeah. So based on my ratings, I have the Eagles as a 5-point favorite in this game. The market's moved away from. Okay. The market opened up as the Eagles favored by 4 points, and then it quickly moved back down after they lost to Seahawks at 3.5 point favorite, or Jesus, as 3-point underdogs. And now it's down to 3 with the Jalen Hurts news.
No, that's just respect. They're just giving. They know what we're capable of.
Okay, I guess
10-3 team, and the way that we look, and it's only a 3-point or 4-point favorite, albeit at home. Like, come on now, come on.
I know it is interesting. Because according to like market ratings and stuff, based on like where teams, where like the closing line is when the game starts and everything. Look at all of those, compare them. Market ratings have the Eagles as only 1.7 point favorites to the Seahawks, and it's interesting
Scared of Drew Lock, man.
because say what?
They're scared of Drew Lock.
Okay, and it's interesting that they that it has them as such a short favorite, but again, like market ratings just kind of show you general market trends and where teams are at, and then you kind of compare those to your own ratings. And according to my ratings, they have the Eagles pretty appropriately ranked. However, they have drastically overrated the Seahawks, so that kind of accounts for that 1.7 point rating spread right there. I Or were you gonna say something?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, they have the Seahawks ranked as the 14th best team. I have the Seahawks ranked as the 22nd best team.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so um, that's where I have them at. And then when
Oh,
it comes to the
bro, what?
when it comes to the Eagles, they have the Eagles as the eighth best team. Or sorry, the curls on this, they have them as the sixth best team, not the eighth. And then I have them as the seventh best team. So
There's 13 teams with a lower record than us by a game, Drew. And you're saying
mhm.
that 5 of those teams at least are still better than Seattle.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
I
My
don't think you do.
ratings that I have, okay, my ratings are based on different statistics and stuff. It's just like early on in the season when like people were coming for my throat, pause, when I was saying that the Bills statistically ranked out as the number one team at that point in time, and that was just based on the stats that I used to make my projections and stuff. And right now, based on those same stats, I had the Seahawks as
Drew.
22nd.
Drew. The
Alex,
Jets, the Patriots, the Titans, the Chargers, the Giants, Washington, Chicago, Panthers, Cardinals. Which of those teams are better than Seattle? Please tell me which of those teams are better than Seattle. I
Be-
just want.
before before uh what's his face, Justin Herbert got hurt, the Chargers.
Yeah, they beat the Lions. Whoop de doo. So did we.
Okay, so and then who's other team you mentioned?
Arizona, the Cardinals, Washington,
Okay,
the
obviously.
Giants.
Okay. Here, there's a better way to do it. These are the teams that I have below them right now. Um, the Steelers, the Titans, the
What?
Bears, the Jets, the Raidens. What? These are
Of
teams that
all
are
the,
below them.
I know, but of all the teams that like I just said, like like nope, the Steelers. Steelers are a
What?
playoff team right now, or they're
Are
borderline.
you telling me that the Steelers are better than the Seahawks?
No, I'm just saying that would mean that you also have a bad team above the Seahawks and the Steelers.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, okay. The one team that's like lingering there that I don't agree with is the Falcons. They're one spot ahead of the Seahawks, and it's gross. They're literally 0.01 points ahead of them. So
Fair
that'll
enough.
obviously change this week as they lost to the
Fair enough.
Panthers. So, um,
Legit.
but
Fair
yeah,
enough. I
below
don't
them
want to get too much
it's
into
the
it. Yeah.
it's Steelers, the Titans, the Bears, the Jets, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Patriots, the Giants, the Commanders, and the Panthers are dead last. So,
Fair enough.
but yeah, moral of the story is they currently have the Seahawks a little bit overrated right now, with the market ratings in terms
Yeah.
of where they have them at. And however, looking at this game from a market dynamics perspective, 82% of the bets are on the Eagles, yet the line is falling away from the Eagles, which tells me that there's some injury news there that helps move that line, but also there could be some respective money. respected money on the Seahawks, saying that now I actually have this line a little bit closer to 3. Took it off of that 4 that it was at, off the 3.5. What'll be interesting to see is if it goes through the key number of 3, then that'll be a true indicator of smart money on the side of the Seahawks. And at which point, I mean, even right now, I'm kind of tempted to take the Seahawks because, I mean, it's one of those 80-20 rules where, 80% of the bets are on a team in a primetime game, Monday Night Football, as home underdogs, short underdog too. Like, I it's very tempting, but it's also the Seahawks,
I mean,
and I don't want that in my life.
it sucks
I'd
too
rather
because I
just
feel like
pass.
I don't have high expectations, but I feel like if we won this game, then we could win out and we can go 10-7. We can squeak into the
Stop
playoffs.
it.
We could. We play the
You
Titans, the
guys are
Steelers,
missing.
and the Cardinals.
You're missing the playoffs.
I
It's
want to make a
over,
bet with you
Alex.
so bad, but like I
The
cannot. I'm
gig's
not.
up.
The Kings, they are who we thought they were.
Uh-huh.
Let them off the hook. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well,
Exactly.
let's get into some actually very good teams. So let's do our top 5 power rankings. Would you like to go first, or do you want me to go? Or we can go round robin.
Yeah, we can do. I'll give my number 1. You can give your number 1, and go back and forth like that.
Number 1 better be
I'll
consensus. I'm sorry.
I'll make it quick.
Yep.
New Orleans Saints coming off of a dominant victory against the Danny DeVito led.
You see his agent out here putting out mob hits and stuff.
I mean, after they had a late hit on him, I was like, dude, that's not
Bro,
the
no,
guy
his
to be
agent
doing
was on
that.
the sidelines. Literally looked like he was just straight out the Sopranos. Like,
Right.
it was kind of
That's
crazy.
Mm. But yeah, realistically though, I have the 49ers as my number 1 team. I hope that you don't disagree with that.
Agreed. Enough said.
All right,
The
moving
best
on.
team.
Yep. Next. So, okay. Statistically speaking,
Oh boy.
I statistically speaking, it's still the Cowboys as the number 2 team. However, so there's a difference between rankings and ratings. Ratings are based on actual stats. Rankings are based on different factors, albeit like injuries or situations or certain time of the year, whatever, all kinds of factors. And so if we're going rankings, I would go with the Baltimore Ravens. I still think that they're the most complete team, top to bottom. And I still don't even think that we've seen their best game from them yet.
Yes, I agree. My number 2 is the Ravens. Obviously the Cowboys loss had to change my rankings a little bit because I probably would have had them at number 2. But again, I think, as you said, the Ravens are probably one of the most complete teams, or the most complete team in the AFC, probably one of the most, right behind the 49ers. And their running ability with Lamar Jackson's versatility and allowing him to actually have some good weapons this year with Zay Flowers, who's been a great rookie, OBJ, Bateman's actually had some good catches. They obviously have Isaiah Likely, who's been the backup tight end, who has some good moments for them over the past 3 weeks since Mark Andrews has been out, and there's been talk about him being able to return in the playoffs. They're potentially able to get a first round bye if they're able to get the number 1 seed. So allowing him to get healthy, I think too, would allow them to just completely blow the top off. I think that they have the capability to be an elite team. And again, Lamar Jackson is firmly in the MVP conversation. I think he's probably top 3 or 3rd right now. Currently, they are beating the Jaguars 23-7 with only 3 minutes left, and they have the ball. So you know what they're probably going to do? They're going to run the clock out because they have probably the best. They probably have the best time management in the league. So the Ravens would be my number 2 and the best team in the AFC.
Yep. Okay, this is where it starts to get a little tricky.
No doubt.
This is gross. Okay. So okay, well obviously I'm gonna have the my Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? I'm gonna have them as number 3. I just think that they've shown that they can beat elite teams. The problem is whenever they play an away game, they suck. They're trash away from home. But when
Say
they
it
play at
louder for the
home,
people in the back.
okay, they're dominant at home. I was looking it up earlier because I was meant to bring it up when we were talking about the Seahawks and how their home field advantage really isn't all that great. Um, anyways, the Dallas Cowboys since 2021, they have the best record at home at 20-4. So, and I'm curious. Let me see what their road record is because I'm sure that it's actually pretty gross. We got
Yeah,
this
it's 3-4.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I got it right here. They're 7-0 at home, and they're 3-4 on the road.
Well, I meant from like since 2021.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Oh man, this is some small writing. Oh,
Yeah, while you're looking
okay.
that up,
So,
oh man, no, go ahead.
or yeah, go for it.
No, I was just saying, like, I have a toss up between the Cowboys and the Eagles right in this spot. Obviously, if we were to record this earlier this morning or yesterday, I probably would have had the Cowboys there. And
Fair weather
I
fan.
still, I still want to put them there, but because obviously recency bias. But like, if you look at the overall
Body
season,
of work.
if you look at the overall body of work, the Philadelphia Eagles currently, and I would assume after Monday, would still have a better record than the Cowboys. And they've had the toughest strength of schedule throughout the entire season. They've had numerous teams that they've had to play that have been elite. The Cowboys have had to play the Eagles, who have been basically the only, I would say, at the time, the Dolphins were kind of borderline contenders, but obviously now they've gone on a bit of a win streak. So now they're kind of up there within the AFC. But like, the Dallas Cowboys haven't had to play that many good teams other than the Eagles. Now it's split 1-1, and obviously it's recency bias. The Dallas Cowboys had a great game plan against the Eagles a couple weeks ago, and they took complete control. It was kind of weird because the Eagles were able to move the ball. They got in the red zone, or if not close to the red zone, and then they had like 2 or 3 turnovers. Jalen Hurts had a fumble, AJ Brown had a fumble, Devontae Smith had a fumble. So it was like a lot of unfortunate events. But like, if I had to choose one, I would still think that the Eagles are a better team. And as the Bills showed today, like, if you're able to get pressure on Dak Prescott, even though he didn't get sacked a bunch, I think he only got sacked 3 or 4 times. He had a lot of hurries. They had a lot of pass deflections, and they were able to speed him up. That
Speed it up.
has the possibility to win. I think the Eagles still have more ways to beat you. So, you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to put my Eagles at number 3.
Gross. Oh my god. Like, okay, I would. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be on your side at all. Like their defense. I was trying to like justify like no, but I can't though. Like their defense is just so bad that I cannot put them up there. They're 27th in EPA per play. They're 20th in success rate. They're 26th in EPA per play at dropback. And 19th with EPA. Oh my God, 19th with success rate per dropback. They're 24th in EPA per rush. They're 15th in success rate when it comes to rushes. Oh, that's decent. Okay, but like all those other stats, like you can throw all day over them.
Yeah,
Like
with all
you can
that
just
though, the goal is to win games, and they've had the
oh my
toughest
God,
schedule all season, and they
bro.
are tied for the best record in the NFL with the toughest schedule all
And
year.
they've I mean, you can always say, oh, they barely won, but they still won kind of thing. But at the same time, they arguably could have lost all of those games that they did win.
I mean, it's the same thing with the Chiefs over the past 4 or 5 years. They had a lot of close games, but they know how to win. Or the Patriots in their dynasty, like, they have a lot of close games, or they have to come back, but they still find a way to win. Like, I mean,
But with those games though that they just did win, it wasn't like, oh, they made like this defensive stand and they were able to hold them from scoring. It was like
they
the
did.
dude dropped the ball. No, it was the
They
dude
made a
dropped the
defensive
ball
stand
or
against the
or
Cowboys
the
in the first game that they
oh
played.
okay, but what about when Dak stepped out before he reached
That
over
was in
and
the
scored the
middle.
touchdown?
That was in the middle of the game.
Okay, but also that plays a factor because they would have had a touchdown right there. Wouldn't have
That's
had
what
to
I'm
worry
saying.
about
Like,
the one
like
inch
I said,
line.
and I think the Eagles would have scored at least a field goal on like 3 of the possessions where they ended up fumbling. But like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm saying that the Cowboys are ass. Like, I'm just saying that they would just be one slight spot based off their performance today, as well as the rest of the season behind the Eagles. If you want to, they're 1-1 together. The Eagles have the better record. They've played against tougher competition all year, and I don't know which one for me, and they're gonna win me my bet against you in the NFC East. Like, I mean, I'm sorry.
27th in EPA per play, 20th in success rate,
Number
26th
one in
in
the NFC
EPA drop
East,
back.
tied for the best record in the NFC. Hardest schedule. I think the Cowboys are like middle of the pack in their strength of schedule. Their toughest opponents have been the Eagles, and the Dolphins, and they have bad losses, and they just got mollywopped. Just what they did to the Eagles just happened to them against the Bills, who we both have talked about are a very volatile team, and they're playing well right now. But I mean, you had a perfect opportunity. You had just beat the Eagles, go and beat the Bills, and then you have to play the Dolphins next week. Win those games, and you basically secure the NFC East. I mean, Dak Prescott, if he would have won that game against the Bills, probably would have been the favorite or front runner. Honestly, probably wrapped up the MVP conversation if as long as he didn't like mess up anything over the last two games. But now, I mean, now you still have to give the nod back to Purdy, which is kind of crazy, Drew. We're back to the Brock Purdy as the MVP frontrunner.
Hey, don't
Wild.
get me wrong. I yeah, I took a flyer on Brock Purdy at plus 1200.
Yeah, because you got a flyer probably on every single
So
player in the league.
hey man,
Hey, Najee
diversify,
Harris plus
divide and conquer.
7,000. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm there.
said value. See the value, but nah, I I don't know, man. I just
It's one ranking. It's one ranking.
then
And obviously,
I
the
don't
Cowboys would
like
be
it.
my number 4.
Oh, interesting. Moving on. Okay,
With the
so
Eagles, so if you had the Cowboys number 3, would you have the Eagles number 4?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, we haven't even seen them play this week. You know,
yeah,
now
like
Jalen Hurts is hurt, sick.
yeah, because like the past few weeks, their offense just looks broken. Like they just look like
They just scored. They
they
just put up
are
like 40
lost on
points
a.
against the Bills, who just destroyed you like
Oh,
2
the
weeks ago.
Bills that don't have a defense.
I think they
I'm
have like
telling you, bro, they
they're
don't
like
have a defense.
they're like top 5 in like holding teams below, like I think it's like 22 points, something like that. You say that they don't have a defense because of their injuries and stuff like that. Like the past like 9 games, they've held teams like let me pull it up for you. Like after
Oh, let me pull it up.
after their big loss to after wait no what's the one I'm thinking of, after they lost to the Jags, which was early in the season. So after week 4 they held the Giants to 9, and then it was after the Patriots because the
No,
Patriots ended up
the
beating
Giants.
them. So they
Whoa.
lost to the Patriots. So they held the Bucks to 18, they held the Bengals to 24, the Broncos to 24, obviously the Jets to 6, and then they had the game against the Eagles, but then they held the Chiefs to 17, and they held the Cowboys to 10. Like, that's not a bad defense. It may not be elite, but it's not bad.
They are not. They match up. They're a very poor matchup for what the Eagles like to do, especially because they like to take the top off on the defense.
Bad matchup for the Cowboys,
And they,
apparently.
well, the Cowboys don't have anybody other than Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb that can run past anybody. And CeeDee Lamb isn't really known to be a deep ball threat. He's more like middle of the field
Hey man,
and
Ferguson was
yards after catch.
jumping over people, bro.
Well, he was trying.
Turpin will have a
But
deep ball every once in a while if he's not returning
hmm
kicks. But yeah, I hear you.
but also on top of that too, the Eagles are one of the most run heavy teams as well, and then they take shots every once in a while too. And the
Yep.
Bills are currently ranked 22nd when it comes to EPA per play in terms of rush defense. So like they're gonna have success, especially when the Eagles are number 1 in EPA per play when it comes to rush success. So like that's just a terrible matchup for the Bills.
Yeah, fair enough. What would be your year 5? Because I have a hard time. I have about 3 teams here that I want to give it to, but out of respect, I think
I
I'm
didn't
gonna.
even get to my number. I didn't even get to my number 4.
I mean, I asked you if it was the Eagles, and you're like, maybe,
I said, yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah, no, this one is pretty tough though. Damn. I I want to give it to I'm a believer,
And
and in Kansas City, but I can't.
yeah, no,
I
they're not.
can't.
They're not in my top 5. They're number 6 for me right now.
And I I want to put the Bills there,
They're number 7.
but I can't do that. And I'm sure as hell I'm not putting the Dolphins there.
I have the Lions at my 5th. While you're thinking about your 4th,
That,
I have the Lions as
ooh,
my 5th. Out of respect,
uh,
out of respect, like
they fell off for me.
they did.
Um, yeah, their defense is flugazy to
I mean,
BH.
why did they fall off? They obviously had a bad loss to the Bears, but they lost to the Packers, just like the Chiefs lost to the Packers. And I think they're a good
Because
team. They don't have. That's the only thing. I don't think they have a lot of key wins. Like I don't think they have a lot of key wins against good teams.
that, and also like I I don't know, their defense was good at the beginning of the year, and after I don't know a few weeks, actually we'll go from week 8 on. Um, they're ranked 23rd in EPA per play, and teams have just been kind of lighting them up on offense. And when you let Justin Love, Jordan Love, look like look like Aaron Rodgers back in the day, I like that's a problem.
Yeah, it's
Um,
completely different offensive styles, but like they are like the Dolphins of the NFC in terms of like they're just going to outscore you. But the Dolphins defense has actually looked better as of late.
yeah, until
But
they
I
got
hear you.
everybody hurt.
But
um,
I really like the Lions offense, and especially now that David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs are both healthy, that 1-2 punch is disgusting. And then with Amon Ra and Jared Goff is just as consistent as a quarterback as you can get. I mean, nobody's ever going to give them their props because they have these major wins and they're on this huge winning streak, and then they lose to the Packers on Thanksgiving, and then you
mhm,
have a chance to go like 10-5 or 10-4 something like that. Then you lose to Justin Fields and the Bears. So it's
mhm,
tough. They beat the Broncos, who had been on fire over the past 7 or so weeks, but they play the Vikings next week, who I feel should be an easy win. And then they have a big game against the Cowboys. And then I think that'll tell me how much of a contender that they can be going into the playoffs.
mhm. All that being said, God, why are these teams so bad below them?
I can't
Because
just give it to the Chiefs out of just because like they're the Chiefs. Like I understand, but like, I mean, they
you know what?
look broken.
You know what, Alex? Bills Mafia, let's ride.
At number
Bills
4?
Mafia number 4.
Okay.
Bills Mafia.
Okay. I mean, I guess they beat the 2 top 5. I mean, they beat the Chiefs on a BS call, and then they mollywop your Cowboys. I don't know what's going on with the Chiefs and these refs, man. Like, because they lost the game to the Packers when they had a chance to go on a game-winning touchdown drive, and MVS got a blatant pass interference call. I think it was. I don't know if it was in the end zone. I think it was like on the 6 on a bomb or something like that.
Yeah.
No call. And then the next week, like Kadarius Toney and Travis Kelce have like one of the coolest plays or one of the best plays that I've seen, and probably would have been the play of the year, on a like 30-yard reception and run for Travis Kelce. And then he laterals it like 15 yards to Kadarius Toney, who runs it in on like a 40-yard, 50-yard touchdown, and it gets called back because Kadarius Toney is offsides, I guess. And there's been 3 of those calls all season, and
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. So who would be your number
Yep.
5 then? If you have your Bills at number 4, I'm not even gonna. You're back in the bandwagon. You're back on the tee. So like, I'm not
Back on
even
the
surprised. I'm not even surprised.
Yep, we're back in the saddle. Bills Mafia, you know what it is. Biggest fan here. Chiefs are gonna be number 5.
Fair enough.
So yeah.
Fair enough. Anything else that you wanted to get into in the NFL?
No, that's pretty much it. I kind of brushed by it when I had mentioned it before, but the Seahawks, they're known to be, having the 12th man and everything, but that 12th man hasn't really been working all that hard since 2021, where their home record is 12-11. Not much of a home field advantage, if you ask me. So,
Okay. Moving on to the NBA. Like, I'm not even going to give that any attention. For those of you that are wondering, the Ravens beat the Chiefs or beat the Jags 23-7. We knew that we were going to film this evening, so after basically all of the games and pretty much in the middle of the Sunday night game. So last night, Drew asked me what my picks would be for the week, and this man wanted to. He wanted to argue with my picks and act as if
I
they
didn't
weren't
argue. I didn't argue.
interesting. Those are some interesting picks. Ooh,
I just said interesting.
with a.
I just said interesting.
Don't forget the ooh, Drew. I know what that means. So, but
whatever.
For those of you that did not see it when Drew posted it, my picks were the Chiefs minus 8.5 against the Patriots because I thought they were going to bounce back because they had 2 bad losses because of some bad non-calls actually, and the Ravens to dominate the Jags. So I just want to know which of those games were the ooh for you. I'm just curious because it sounds like
I mean,
common
it was
sense
just
to me.
it was just very chalky plays. It was just like a very public. It was. There's this one podcast I listen to. Like whenever they talk about picking like a public team, they always call it a donkey pick. So it's being a donkey. That's
what picks were yours? What were your game picks this week again?
I don't gotta talk about that. Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. So I had the under 32.5 with the
these unders, man.
Hey man, if it hits, why is it matter? Okay, so I had the under in the Atlanta Carolina game, which obviously hit. The final score was 7-9. I
halfway there.
had the I had the over in the Washington LA game. It was 49.5, and unfortunately the game ended 20-28. So that sucks.
Be like that.
Yep. I had the Bills because Bills Mafia. You know what it is.
You really did have the Bills over the Cowboys?
Of course I did.
With the points or straight up?
Come on, you know me, money line, baby.
Wow, that's
impressive. I don't mess around with that. But yeah, so I had the Bills. But when the time that you gave me the well, actually, didn't you give me your picks like last night or was it this morning?
I gave you them last night. Well, basically this morning because it was 12:37 in the morning.
Okay. Midnight. You get some sleep. Anyways,
man, don't worry about it. I'll be doing. We was coaching. We had a game.
Okay. No. By the time I put in your pick with Kansas City, the line had moved back up to 10, and so we pushed.
What?
My bad. You should have gave it to me earlier.
What? Drew's out here sabotaging me. Look at that.
Right, you gave it to me that late. Anyways, and then I also had. I had the under 43 in the Sunday night football game, so that one also hit as well. Oh, the two other games that I lost, the Titans messing around with the ball, and then also the Packers -4. I had some inkling that it was the right play, but I ignored the bet split, and the bet split got me. It was a classic line freeze. Should have known better, but I just ignored it. So
you see how that goes, y'all. Like and this goes back to me and Drew into our undergrad days in college. Like that, you just gave me 9 bets. Like it's gluttony.
I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bets.
There's 3 in there. There's 3 more overs somewhere in there that you didn't.
Okay.
Just well, fair enough. That was pretty good.
I took it light.
So
just a quick thing on how we're doing so far. So on the young season, if we look at overall body of work, 97 and 73 and 6 pushes. Hate when you push.
Yeah.
Pause. And ROI is 4.82%, 55% win rate. And then if we go with only our sides and totals, then our win rate increases. We go to 60, 64 and 43 and 5. Again, with those pushes, man. And then 57 win percentage and 9.13 ROI on the season.
So you wouldn't be broke. You'd be richer.
Either or, didn't matter if we picked the props or if we picked sides and totals. You'd if you listen to us, you follow us, you'd be profitable. So
fair enough. Moving
also,
on,
not a financial advisor,
but I'm not a rapper.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap up this episode. So yeah, jam-packed episode, about 2 hours. Again, there's a lot to get into over the past 3 weeks and things like that. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. We did it. We made it. So I just want to thank everybody for listening. And again, apologize for the absence. I think that after this week, so this is on Sunday, so we will not be filming this upcoming Wednesday, but that following Wednesday, so basically in 9 days, we will be back to our normal schedule. So filming on Wednesdays. So other than that, yeah, no, this has been the Call Your Shot podcast. Thank you everybody for listening. Alex Harris and Drew Moore. For those of you listening on podcasts, we're also available on YouTube. For those of you listening on YouTube, we're also available on anywhere you can get your podcasts. So that'd be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever the case may be. Also have links to our social media pages and Instagrams in our YouTube description down below. And if you go there or to our Instagram, we have links to our bets. So anything else you wanted to add, Drew?
No, that's just about everything. I'm very tempted to pull the trigger on the young Seahawks this tomorrow evening, but I will for sure be taking the under in that game.
Nope.
I don't think there's gonna be a lot of scoring.
What's the total?
The total is it is 45.
Oh yeah, Drew Lock putting up points. Yeah.
Okay.
45. You're taking the under, so like 22 a game, 22 a piece, really?
Mm-hmm.
You don't even think the Eagles are going to blow it out and get their 30 because they need a bounce back game. So somebody needs to score some points.
I'm loyal to the bet split.
Okay.
And especially it being a primetime game, totals dropped 2 points already from 47 down to 45. 38% of the money or 38% of the bets are on the under. Yet the line is falling towards the under.
There's a decent chance that both teams will be playing with their backup quarterbacks. So
hey, that's fine. I'll take it.
So that's facts. But that's pretty much it, y'all. So we will see you next Wednesday.
Peace.